Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery with Smart Money Alliance and IIMFL. It's my pleasure to visit with you this morning. We get together most weekdays at 8 o'clock Central or just a few minutes before to talk with our distribution partners. We have different types or different categories of distribution partners. We have our affiliates, and who wouldn't want to be an affiliate? It's free and easy to become an affiliate. We have our credit literacy educators that focus on credit and credit literacy, which certainly ties well into today's topic. And then at the top of the mountain, we have our joint venture incubator partners, where we do a 50-50 revenue split of the profit from all the different resources that we have to help small businesses be successful in raising capital. Yesterday, we had a really good training. We talked about Credit Boost and the importance of our evolution and maturity of being able to provide more value for clients through the Credit Boost program. You might consider today maybe part two of two. So if you didn't listen to yesterday's, I encourage you to do so, but we're going to dig deeper on specifics. So let's step back just in case you weren't on yesterday's training. So we know that we're a 501c3 nonprofit. We have a mission statement that's here at the top of our website, which is to narrow the racial wealth gap by teaching financial literacy, improving credit scores, and facilitating the development of minority-owned small businesses. And of course, a big part of this is providing access to capital. There is just a tremendous need for you and I to work together to improve financial literacy. And credit literacy, of course, falls under financial literacy. Many people, through life's challenges and maybe even some mistakes along the way, end up with less than perfect credit. And they just don't know some basics of what they can do to improve. What you and I know is there is a very basic formula to get an optimal credit score. It's to remove negative, remove derogatory items, if applicable, and add positive. Well, within IIMFL, our 501c3 nonprofit, we are not in credit repair. We don't address the derogatory removal. Many of you help clients with that, and there's a lot of good options out there. So we complement credit repair services. We do not compete with them. We don't provide that service. But we do have a strong acumen in improving credit through the addition of positive. And that has been enhanced by our movement to being a direct reporter, or what's commonly called a direct furnisher of credit. So what that means is that we've gone to the credit bureaus, met their requirements, so we actually report positive and or negative payment experiences. Now, with that comes a lot of power, but a lot of responsibility. And so certainly, and I'll jump ahead, as you see here, in no instance will we ever report fraudulent or inaccurate trade lines. That is illegal. That could be considered fraudulent, trying to manipulate someone's credit profile to access capital. There have been people that have gone to jail for manipulating credit profiles illegally. So be very clear, we're not going to do anything that's in the gray. We're not going to do anything that's in the black. We're not going to violate any laws. But with that being said, there's a lot that you and I can do in terms of improving financial literacy, improving credit scores, and helping individuals operate within the confines of the legal and ethical system to quickly improve their credit scores. And so that's what we're doing. And we have more power, more authority, more ability to do that by being a direct furnisher of credit. So when it comes to reporting credit to improve scores, you can't just make things up. I see often, and even some of the questions that some of you've had via email and phone conversations, sometimes that gets a little blurry. You can't make things up. If you make things up and report them on people's credit, That is fraudulent. It would cause us to lose our reporting privileges, and it could cause all of us to go to jail or suffer fines. So we don't want any of that. So again, what can we do to have a tremendous impact? So let's go over here and look at some of the Tradeline specifics. And this is on the email that went out to all of our credit literacy educators and joint venture incubator partners this morning. So today, which is now, we're going to review the specifics of our direct reporting of different types of accounts that we can assist clients with. Different types of trade lines have different benefits, but universally can strengthen a client's credit mix and payment history. One great example is here. It's when individuals have charged up their revolving utilization, because what we know is the more of your available revolving credit that you're using, the more it punishes your credit score. Now, it's a temporary punishment, if you will, right? Because as soon as you pay down your revolving balances and it reports again, the scores will bounce back up. You're not locked low. But in some cases, people don't have the ability or willingness or thoughts, whatever reason, they've not paid down their revolving utilization. And so we can legally and ethically manipulate their revolving utilization to accomplish a much higher score. And that's what we're talking about here, where we can add a high credit limit revolving trade line, and that dilutes the high revolving utilization. And we've seen that increase scores, that alone, up to 100 points. Now we write immediately is true once it reports, right? Most trade lines report to the bureaus once a month. So immediately meaning as soon as it reports. So again, our disclaimer, in no instance will we report fraudulent or inaccurate trade lines. And then apparently I'm not sharing my screen. So there's the problem. Thank you, Toussaint, for pointing that out. I thought I was missing something. Sorry about that. So we're back on track here. We're talking about the email that went out. Okay, so let's get into the specific trade lines that we're referring to. Number one is installment trade lines. Now, again, we can't make up types of trade lines. So they have to fit into a category that the bureaus recognize. And so there are things like mortgage trade lines. Well, we don't do that. We don't extend mortgages. There are auto loans. Well, we don't do that. We don't sell and finance automobiles. So those are examples of trade lines that the Credit Boost program doesn't specifically address. Now, certainly by having better credit, we can go out and qualify for home loans and auto loans and business loans. It's the utility of credit that makes it valuable. Having just a high credit score in itself, if you're not using the credit, doesn't have the material benefit. It's when we have the higher credit score, and now we either get better rates on finance purchases, or we even now can qualify for finance purchases that we couldn't otherwise. So on installment trade lines, it looks like the way we're going to roll this out in January is 2 different installment trade lines that can report. The first of which is very relevant for those of you who are joint venture incubator partners. And so with our joint venture incubator arrangement, there's a license fee. And so this is no change. We've had a license fee. We've been financing that internally at 0% interest. Not a change at all. And you either make $250 payments, or we waive those payments if you have at least 5 qualifying referrals per week. And several of you have that, so you had no payments most recently for your incubators. So for installment trade line 1, it's just simply reporting that payment history. Now, some of you haven't been current in paying that. So if you're not current in paying that, then that'll report negative. But if you're current in paying that, it will report positive. That's the way credit works. So trade line 1 is going to specifically be a great benefit to those of you that are currently or become joint venture incubator partners. Because again, we can't just make up something to report. There has to be a product, a good, a service, something that is represented in the trade line. It can't be just out of thin air. That would be illegal. Installment trade line number 2, which is going to apply to more of the masses, because not everyone wants to be a joint venture incubator partner, I understand. So for installment trade line number 2, we can report the access to capital. Access to capital is one of our lead programs that we offer. No upfront cost to the client, guaranteed $100,000 capital raise, no minimum credit score, no minimum time in business to qualify. There always has been a $2,500 refundable deposit. So we're not changing any of that. But what we can do is leverage that deposit, and instead of just simply deferring it until the client has had their first capital raise, which is the norm, we can add a financing addendum and finance that for them and spread that $2,500 refundable deposit over 12 months. And so that would require, of course, each month that they pay 1/12 of that. Because if there's not an extension of credit and a payment off of that extension of credit, then it doesn't qualify as an installment loan, and it wouldn't generate the positive reporting history. So we're not saying that we're changing the access to capital. We're just saying if someone is in access to capital and they're also participating in the credit boost, and they would like to have a new primary, and we'll talk more about that in just a second, primary installment trade line, then we can leverage that deposit as such, legally and ethically. Now, going back to primary, you can see the first 3 bullets here: primary, primary, primary. Primary means almost what you think it would. It's truly that individual's credit. It's reporting to them, it's their credit. They're not piggybacking. It is not an AU, an authorized user, which is the 4th bullet, but it's truly theirs. That makes it legal and ethical and more impactful to their credit profile. Okay, so there are the 2 installment trade lines that'll be available starting in January. Who has any questions about those before we move on to the other types of trade lines? Does anyone have any questions regarding primary installment trade lines before we move on? Okay, so joint venture incubator, again, these are not joint venture incubator clients. These are joint venture incubator partners, like many of you, like Annette and like Anthony as of this morning, and Barry and David and let's see, Robert and several of you who are joint venture incubator partners. Okay, so there are the 2 installment trade lines that we're planning on rolling out initially in January. Now you might say, well, why can't we just do something different? Well, you can't make something up out of thin air. It has to be true, or it's fraudulent reporting. And we agree, we're not going to, in no instance will we report fraudulent or inaccurate trade lines. Now, if any of you have ideas of other types of trade lines we could build in, we're an open book, right? And so that's fine. We can work together to develop new ones, but it has to meet the credibility standards so that they can be reported by the bureaus and be legal and ethical. Okay, so there are the 2 installment trade lines that'll be available as of January 1st, which is just a couple days from this recording. It's being recorded today on December 29th. Okay, next, revolving. What we know is revolving is very impactful to a good, healthy credit profile. And it is what, in fact, helps reduce the credit utilization. So let's talk about revolving trade lines for a moment. So these are going to typically be a $5,000 to $10,000 revolving account with guaranteed approval. So that's great news, right? Even if someone has really bad credit, their score is in the 400s even, they will still be approved for a $5,000 to $10,000 trade line. So that's good. Now, this is going to be considered store credit, just for full disclosure. So this isn't a new American Express or a Visa or MasterCard that they can go use anywhere. It's considered store credit, and there will be an application fee because of the cost of processing the application. And that's pretty standard in this subprime space. And we can approve up to 3 revolving trade lines per person. So that is good news. Okay, so let me pause. We've got a few questions and comments coming in, and we'll answer questions right now off of the installment and revolving trade lines. All right, Dion has a question that's more of a sentence fragment, so I don't understand what you're asking, Dion. I apologize. Joseph says he doesn't understand if the person is financing the primary trade line, where do the funds come from? Well, understand what a primary trade line is. It's when you go apply for credit and you're awarded credit and you make some sort of qualifying purchase to trigger reporting. That's the way that credit works. Like, I could go apply for a car loan, but if I don't actually get the car loan, then it doesn't report on my credit. So I don't know if I completely understand your question, Joseph, but we have to be clear. Primary trade lines is something that we apply for, we receive, and we can use. If it doesn't have those 3 elements, then it's probably not legal or appropriate. We can't just make up a trade line. So again, so Josh has got a good question. So we're not changing anything about the access to capital program. We're just saying that if they're in it and they want to create an installment trade line off of their deposit, we can do an addendum to their agreement. It's optional, it's not required, but then that could become a finance. So instead of deferred, it becomes a financed instrument. And then they would make 1/12 payments each month over 12 months. So they're not paying anything extra. They're paying the same $2,500 that all access to capital clients have promised to pay. But instead of it being deferred until after the capital raise, it is financed up front, which meets the criteria of an installment trade line. Hopefully that helped, Josh. All right, so then Dion's asking about the $2,500 deposit. So the $2,500 would still be a refundable deposit, just like it is now, that's refunded to them after they've reached a $100,000 capital raise, which is what we've promised to help them with and what they've promised to do. So it's not changing the amount, Dion. It's not changing when they get it back. It's just setting it up differently so it qualifies for a credible installment trade line. Hopefully that makes sense. We got questions on the AU accounts, which we've not gotten to yet. So we're going to get there here soon on that. Okay, so Joseph has another question. So certainly people can go out and get financing wherever they want. And so they can go to their bank and get a loan. They can go wherever they want to get financing. We're talking here about the specific instruments that you and I, Joseph, are making available to the marketplace. Of course, this isn't an unlimited, all-inclusive list, right? You could go to Bank of America and get a loan. You could go to Wells Fargo and get a loan. And those would be trade lines that report as well. Okay, the issue typically is people are going to be needing to help build their credit profile so they can qualify for traditional financing. So that's what we're doing together with Credit Boost. If they already have great credit and they can go down to Wells Fargo and get a loan, then we wouldn't enroll them in Credit Boost. We're helping those that have less than perfect credit improve their credit legally and ethically through the additional trade lines. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so let's move on to trade line number 3. Again, this is another category by the bureaus. So again, we can't make these things up. We didn't make up, and of course, you've heard of installment before. You've heard of revolving. There's another category that you might not have heard of, but again, it's part of the credit reporting vocabulary, and it's service and professional reporting. So in other words, it's not a revolving account. It's not an installment account. It just means someone's making payments on something, and then it's being reported as positive payment history. So we needed a service and professional reporting option, and that is going to be based off of the commercial office space. So we have virtual offices, as many of you know, and that is set up as $99 a month, which is very affordable, gives them a credible commercial office space. And with that, then we can start reporting that, and that will generate a new trade line for them, payment history. All right, and then fourth and final, we have the AU accounts, which there was a question about a moment ago that I skipped over. So the authorized user accounts, we're not charging anything up front for. I think that was the question. We're not charging anything up front. That's the whole concept of the Credit Boost program, is here you and I are going out and we're helping people ethically and legally improve their credit scores, but there's no upfront cost for the Credit Boost program. Instead, they pay based upon their results, and you're getting paid $5 for every point they increase. And we talked about that up here. You earn on average $500 for each client referred in, and you have no selling involved. Specifically, you're paid $5 for each point of credit improvement if you're a credit literacy educator and or a joint venture incubator partner. And I'm off track now, but what's highlighted here in yellow is just refer in one a day to this no upfront cost program, and you're on track to earn about $15,000 a month. You may be doing really well for yourself, but I can promise you there's a lot of Americans that don't make anywhere near $15,000 a month. This is a side gig where there's no selling involved, and you're able to reasonably make, by having just one referral a day, 15 grand a month, 180,000 a year. If you can find a better paying side gig that helps people credibly, legally, and ethically, let me know. But I think this is an extraordinary opportunity to help people and earn an adult income. Okay, we're back down to the AUs. That's where we were. So the AUs are typically going to be a $20,000 or more credit limit. Of course, they need to have perfect payment history, and they have 2 years or more of aging, because that seasoning creates an impact. And so the question that we had a moment ago that I skipped over at the time was, what are we charging for this? We're not charging for any of these. There's no charge for the AU account. Instead, the client pays based upon results. Okay, so let's get back to the questions, comments, concerns that you have, because regardless if you're a credit literacy educator or a joint venture incubator partner, this is an arrow in your quiver. And so you need to understand how this works and how to properly educate off of it, because it's going to make you a lot of money and we're going to help people, but we need to understand it. So let's dig into your questions. Okay, so Toussaint has a question regarding joint venture customers. Well, I don't think we have joint venture customers, so we'll have to make sure we're getting the semantics right. We don't have joint venture customers. We have joint venture partners, and to my understanding, you're not one right now, Toussaint, but you're welcome to become one. But we have several of you online that are, and so our joint venture incubator partners have payments. We finance the joint venture license at 0%. And the payments are $250. And that's what we're referring to here, Toussaint. Hopefully that helped. Okay, so Dion's asking, thanks for explaining that. Greatly appreciated. If they needed a credit boost, can that be an installment payment? I don't exactly understand, Dion, again, what you're asking, but we have the credit boost program, which is highlighted right here. You become a credit literacy educator and or a joint venture incubator partner. We create a landing page for you, Dion. You drive people into it. We send them the DocuSign. We copy you on the DocuSign. They enroll in the credit boost. There's no upfront pro cost. We do a soft credit pull. We review their credit profile, and we start making recommendations of how to boost their score using some combination of new trade lines, legally and ethically. Not everyone will follow the same pattern of which trade lines in which order. And so by doing so, their scores are going up an average of 100 or more points in just 30 to 60 days. And so that's what Credit Boost is all about. Is Credit Boost all that we do? Of course not. Is it what we're talking about today? It is. Why are we talking about it? It's within our mission statement, isn't it? We need to go improve financial literacy. Dion, people don't know as much as you know about credit, and they don't know how to improve their credit scores, and they commonly make mistakes. They may want to use credit repair, which is not what we do. However, there are a lot of credit repair professionals out there, and some of you are driving in crazy volume. Was it yesterday? Pulling from memory, I'm getting old here, but I think it was yesterday that Tony submitted 278, don't quote me on that, but I believe that's correct, 278 credit boost leads yesterday. And I know Robert's going to text in here in the Q&A. How did he do it? I'll tell you exactly how Tony's doing it, and several others of you are doing it too. Going to credit repair professionals. They already have clients that are worried about their credit. They're working with the clients on removing derogatories. That's not what we do. We help add positive. It's like a perfect fit. It's a complement. It doesn't conflict. Reach out to credit repair professionals. They're all over the place, and say, hey, what about if we collaborated? You all do great work on removing negative. What if we helped your clients add positive, and I'll do a revenue share with you? Now, it's up to you how much revenue share you want to have with them, but what's common is giving them half. Now, you don't have to give them anything. It doesn't matter to me. So, for example, if you're earning $5 per point, if you offer them $2.50 per point, which predictably will be around $250 a client, for them allowing us to work with their credit repair clients, it's a gold mine. And frankly, their credit scores will probably go up even more because they're also going through concurrently a removal of derogatories, which is going to help improve their score. So, Robert, you didn't ask that question yet, I don't think. I'm still scrolling through here. But, how did Tony generate almost 300 referrals yesterday in one day during the week of Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's? How did he do it? He's smart, right? He goes out and talks to credit repair professionals because they already have a plethora of credit repair clients. We're not competing with them. We're instead helping their clients recognize a bigger increase in credit scores and revenue sharing with them. Clients love it. Credit repair professionals love it. And you're making, and I realize you're giving up half if you follow that model. You don't have to give up that much, but you're still making 250. What's the math on that? So if we take 278 referrals from Tony in one day, gotta find my calculator here. Here it is, 278. And so then if he makes an average of 250, assuming that he's giving up half to the credit repair company that referred, he generated, hasn't received it yet, granted, but he generated $69,500 yesterday. How many of us made $69,500 yesterday? Most of us won't make that in a month. A lot of Americans won't make that in a year. And the credit repair professionals already have the clients. Okay, so back to the questions. Jim asked, is the installment trade line, and there's two different ones here, right? Jim's asking, are these interest free? And the answer is yes. There's no interest. It's 0% interest on both of those trade lines. 0% interest. So no one's going to push back and say, oh, you're charging high interest. No, there's 0% interest. No one can combat with that. All right. Robert asked if Credit Boost is an MLM. Well, that's a fascinating question because there's no override commissions on Credit Boost, which is a feature of MLM. There's no required purchase, which is a normal attribute of MLM. So I have to apologize, Robert. I don't see any element of Credit Boost that looks or smells like MLM, but it maybe I'm just too ignorant to see that. So if you can follow up on how any element of this looks like MLM, let me know. But there's no required purchase. There's no downline. So the answer is clearly no, but I apologize. I don't even understand how someone could infer Credit Boost as being MLM. Okay, thank you for that. And then Robert also asked about the side deals, with your referral partners. So that's completely up to you how you want to pay your referral partners, especially these credit repair companies or whomever else is referring you clients. One of you, which I'll leave nameless, didn't go to a credit repair company, but you went to an online lead generator for credit repair. And we had a conference call with them. I think it was last week right before Christmas. And they're anticipating, we haven't seen the results yet, but they're anticipating 100 leads a day consistently from that online marketing. So you've got to be creative. I mean, that's your role, Robert, and everyone else, of going out and generating the leads through education, through marketing, through key referral sources. I mean, that's your part of the deal. That's why you're making so much money, is you're using your intellect and your creativity to drive in the volume. All right, so I think I've addressed the questions. So what else remains? What else is unclear that would prevent any of us from going out and execute? Because we're ready to execute, right? Credit Boost has been alive and well now for quite some time. It's on the IIMFL website. It describes it. There's a YouTube video description. We provided each of you a landing page and a flyer to use. And so then you can promote however you want. If you don't have a landing page, you don't have a flyer, that's okay. You can just scroll down to the bottom and you could submit people and put yourself as the referral source and that they want to enroll in the Credit Boost program. However, it would be preferable to have your own landing page, because now they don't have to remember to list you as the referral source. If they come through your landing page, then you get credit automatically. And so Barry's asking, if we have a referral partner, can we create a landing page for them to make sure that that tracking is perfect? And the answer, Barry, is absolutely. So if you have a referral partner, we can set up a landing page for them, and then you're going to be responsible for paying your referral partner because it's between you and them. But essentially, we're creating extra landing pages for you for specific use by specific referral partners for better tracking. Some of you have created your own landing pages that you're using outside of what we provide, which is fine too. All right, so James is asking, on these larger client submissions, how can we submit them? And James, thanks for bringing that up. So it's fine to get an Excel spreadsheet or a comma delineated file, CSV file, where it has the names, the phone numbers, and emails from the referral source, from the credit repair company, whatever. You can send us a spreadsheet. You don't have to type each one of them in to your landing page. That's not a good use of your time, and frankly, not ours. We can upload that entire batch at one time. You still get credit for it, of course, but it's much more efficient. So if you have lists of prospects, more than 10 or so, I wouldn't be typing them in individually. I would send us over a spreadsheet with at least 3 columns: column for name, column for email, column for phone number. Okay, and yes, we can get, we'll get all the recordings posted up. If you go to IIMFL and we're a little bit behind on it, but type in training. All the past trainings that'll populate here in a second will be on this page. There's a bunch of them already on there, and there's a few that were behind, but the past trainings, and it's a long list, will be updated here by the first of the year. Thank you, Anna Marie. All right, David's asking, is there a way of tracking for us to report to larger clients of how clients are doing? So on Credit Boost, what we're going to do is do a soft pull once a month. So we're monitoring credit improvement each month. And so David, then what we're doing is invoicing them each month off of the credit improvement, and you'll be copied off of that invoice. So you know how much each of your clients have improved. They know, of course, and then they're paying for that. So the reporting is automatic based upon monthly soft credit pulls and invoices. Okay. So what other questions? I think I'm caught up on your questions and answers. Who has other questions? If there's something about this you don't like, this is a great time to bring it up. Let me know how you feel that our advisory committee has failed to capture the opportunity, or let us know feedback. I mean, I believe this is incredible. I know that there's many people that have challenged credit, including, I would even say, the majority of the clients that are coming to us for a capital raise for their business. Now, while you and I know that there's different sources of capital and not all of them look at personal credit scores, it is true that many sources of capital do look at personal credit scores for early stage businesses. So not all, but many do. So I would think this is a safe thing to say. An intelligent person would seek to optimize their personal credit, because it's going to give them more options in life in terms of housing, transportation, business financing, anything that's financed, and it's going to give them better rates on anything financed. So I believe an intelligent person should seek to have optimal credit. We said there's a formula for getting optimal credit: removing negative and adding positive. Our expertise through Credit Boost is adding positive. Removing negative can certainly help as well. That's not what we do. Some of you do that. Some of you have referral partners that do that. There's many solutions in the marketplace to address removing derogatories. That's not our expertise. But the bottom line is, why would anyone want to live with bad credit? It makes no sense. You're not locked in credit purgatory. You need to simply get in Credit Boost and start adding positive trade lines, and it'll work. And we don't charge except for the results of that. And on average, we're seeing a 100-point increase in the first 30 to 60 days. So at that point, that individual now can go buy a house, buy a car, get business financing, get anything financed just about that they would want that they might not have been able to otherwise. Okay, so let's get back to a few more comments that came in here. Joseph asks, how does a joint venture incubator partner apply for a site? So automatically, so if you're a joint venture incubator partner, if we've not done it already, just email us and we'll get you, Joseph, a landing page for Credit Boost to drive people in. We just created one this morning for Mr. Sellers, our newest joint venture partner. We just created one this morning for, drawing a blank, for Money Masters. So the bottom line is, if you don't have a landing page as a joint venture partner, just let us know and we can whip that out here quickly, because you'll want to have that. There's no cost for it, of course. Okay. David's asked, is there a way to get that reporting in spreadsheet form instead of one at a time? Well, possibly. I mean, what we're doing is we're invoicing clients individually. And so we have to invoice them individually. And so that's the trigger. So we do a soft credit pull. We see what their change in score is, but sure, it could be compiled into a spreadsheet, of course. You're correct. Jim's asking how many months. So the credit boost is a 12-month program. Now, it's not going to take 12 months to see results. We should see significant results in 30 to 60 days. But the credit boost is a 12-month program, Jim. Thank you for asking. Okay, so I think I'm caught up here. Billy was what I was trying to think of earlier, the name. But questions that any of you have regarding. Okay, David's asking about how long do these trade lines stay on the file? Great question. We'll wrap it up with this. Primary trade lines stay on, forever. And that's the benefit of primary trade lines. So primary installment go on and they stay on forever. I guess 7 years, technically, they fall off once they've been inactive for 7 years. But primary on forever, primary on forever, primary on forever, or until they age out 7 years. Authorized user accounts are different, right? Authorized user accounts, it's called piggybacking. Those are temporary. So those are usually on for just 30 days to be able to position that client to get that final boost, to get the optimal score, to get whatever finance that they want to get financed. So authorized user accounts are not permanent. Those are typically 30 to 60 days. Primary are permanent. And that's an important distinction between primary and authorized user. Thank you, David, for bringing that up, because I didn't mention that before, and I should have. And that has a question, is this for current clients? Well, and that I need you to think of this as differently. Credit Boost is a resource for our current clients and future clients, right? It's for anyone that's looking for a credit boost, someone that's looking for a significant increase in score through the addition of new positive credit. That's what Credit Boost is about. It's available to current clients. It's available to past clients. It's available to prospective clients. It's a standalone offering, but it can be offered to current clients. So it doesn't matter if they're in capital ready or not, or if they're in access to capital or not. The point is it's an available resource. Now, keep in mind, Capital Ready 3.0 includes Credit Boost at no cost. That was one of the enhancements we made when we launched Capital Ready 3.0, is they do not pay for the performance fee, the increase off of Credit Boost. So maybe that was your question. But yes, it's so important that if people are trying to access capital for their business, that they're cognizant that their personal credit doesn't always matter, but it does matter for many sources of capital. And it goes back to what we just said in that an intelligent person, I believe, would seek to have optimal credit scores. It just makes sense to do. It's illogical to say, no, I've got bad credit, I'm just going to leave it that way. And then frankly, and this is a little bit more of a stretch here, I think it's illogical for people to be broke. There's no reason for people to be broke. What they can do is find something that they can do to earn income. So you could go do orthopedic surgery if you're an orthopedic surgeon. You could go wait tables if that's a skill set. What you and I do is we can help people become credit literacy educators, earn on average $500 per referral, no selling involved, do one a day, we're at $15,000 a month, $180,000 a year. That's probably a little bit more than you'd make waiting tables, probably a little bit less than you'd make doing orthopedic surgeries, but it's a good gig, right? And there's no prior education or knowledge or certification required. And there's essentially next to nothing to get started as a credit literacy educator. So I think we should all be of the same mindset. It's illogical to have bad credit and leave it that way. And it's illogical to be broke and leave it that way. And what you and I can do is we can help people in both regards. We can help them boost their credit legally and ethically and quickly, so they have more options for anything that's financed. And we can help them boost their income materially and quickly, legally and ethically, by being a credit literacy educator. All right, well, we covered a lot. Hopefully this is practical enough that you've got your arms around the trade line specifics that are available through Credit Boost. Primary installment, primary revolving, primary service professional reporting, and authorized user accounts. So if you have any other questions, let us know. But otherwise, let's go implement. Let's have a goal of feeding at least one client a day. That'll be 30 plus or minus a month, and that'll put you on that track that we want to see you in the upcoming year of $15,000 a month through this side gig. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.